Hello, this is Ted Argyle from Adrenaline Martial Arts Centre in Warrnambool, and welcome to the first video on our Facebook page. This will be the first of many subsequent videos which will cover different topics. The goal of these videos is to give you a window into what we do in our school and how we do it. So in subsequent videos we'll be talking more about our teaching methodology. We'll also give you some clips from the classroom as well, so you can get a physical sense or a visual sense, I should say, of what we actually do and how we do it. And that way, if you decide to become a member at our school later on down the road, you've got an idea of what to expect. So in this first video, I really just wanted to give you a bit of a background on my martial arts training, just to give you an idea of where I've come from. So I first started training, I think it was 1988, 89, something like that. And I first started in a system called Zendokai. Zendokai is it's reported as Australia's first mixed martial art, and I certainly see it that way. Zendokai back at that time was a combination of traditional karate. It had some taekwondo elements in there, some martial arts weaponry, some very basic jiu-jitsu and judo, kickboxing, boxing, and martial arts weaponry. It was a really great system to start training in because it gave me a window into lots of other different systems. After about 12 months of doing that, I was also doing Muay Thai kickboxing, which was connected to the Zendokai system at that time, and still is to this day. The founder of the system, Bob Jones, is one of the first people to bring Muay Thai kickboxing to Australia. So everybody who was doing Zendokai, most people at the time were also doing Muay Thai as well. So that was late 1980s that I commenced with that. So I was doing both systems for a long time together, which was really cool. That took me through for a couple of years, and then I moved to Bendigo for 6 months for some tertiary study, and I did American Kempo while I was there. While in Bendigo, I also trained with a different Zendokai instructor, and that was really good too, because it was good to see how different people teach the same material. So that was really valuable. So, and in conjunction with that, I was also doing the American Kempo system, which was a window into a style that was completely different from what I've done before. So that was valuable to learn that and to get a window into how they move. In the early 1990s, I started playing around a little bit with boxing, and I also looked at the Filipino martial arts, which was connected to the Zendokai organisation. My first Filipino martial arts instructor at that time was Robert Halligan, and he was employed by the Zendokai organisation to teach some black belt instructors in the Filipino martial arts. And I was so impressed with Robert at that time that he's been my go-to man for my Filipino martial arts instruction since that time. So I catch up with Robert at least 1 to 2 times per year to make sure that what I'm doing is correct. And we have Robert here for seminars as well, quite regularly, to help our students along with the martial arts weaponry aspect of training. Even though Robert is known for his Filipino martial arts, he is really the complete package. He's got a very broad knowledge across a wide variety of systems. He's a very talented martial artist and instructor, so I feel very lucky to be connected with him. Let me think, this is coming around to the late 1990s, maybe 1997, 98. I had a gentleman walk into my school who'd had lots of amateur boxing training and had lots of amateur boxing fights. I think he'd had over 30, and that was Jamie Thomas. And that was pretty scary. I went from being quite competent at Muay Thai and Zendokai to having my ass handed to me pretty much with sparring with him. So that was a shock, and it was a good shock. I was like a fish out of water, to be honest, when I first started boxing with him. But there's been a few people who have been very, very pivotal in my martial arts career, and he's certainly one of those. Back then, even though I understood the boxing basics, I understand the basic boxing punches and the basic movements like footwork and head evasions and all the rest of it, but I was not prepared enough to deal with his standard. And I took that as a challenge, and I was a student of his for 5 to 6 years while he lived in Warrnambool. and I really appreciated the technical aspect he brought to the boxing game, and that really influenced me as a martial artist and a martial arts instructor. And from a selfish perspective, it really did improve my punching no end, and I could not. I can't thank Jamie enough for giving me those tools. He was very, very patient and willing to work with what he had, which at that time, from my skill at that time, wasn't much, to be honest. But he was great in developing my boxing skills, and I don't consider myself a boxer, but certainly the punching skills that you gain from boxing, you can't compare them in any other system, and that is something that I've brought to my martial arts, both my own personal instruction and my own what I teach to my students is a direct result of what I learnt from Jamie. That was really valuable and, to be honest, life-changing from a martial arts instructor or a martial arts student's perspective. That gave me that saved my hands. That gave me the hands that I needed and wanted from training with him. And in between that time and meeting my last big impact, and I'm sure I'll meet other people who will impact me as well, but I trained in other systems. The great thing about having a martial arts school is that you'll get introduced to lots of different people from lots of different systems. So I've had lots of people come in and out of this school over the years who have taught me lots and lots of things. They've probably taught me more than I've taught them in some regards, which has been really exciting. And about 10 years ago, I had someone walk into my school who'd said they'd done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with John Will, and I thought, wow, I've always wanted to learn that. But never been lucky enough to either get to Geelong or Melbourne or meet anyone in this area who was a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu student. So Bill came into my school and introduced himself, and we did some cross-training together, and I taught him some basic striking, off which he was reasonably competent anyway. And then we decided to have a wrestle. He was going to show me what he did, and he basically turned me inside out. So that was pretty exciting. It was the same kind of feeling I had when I first started boxing with Jamie. I was just completely overwhelmed. But for me personally, I found that really, really exciting. So I started as I said, I've been a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu student now. That was 10 years ago, and I've been at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu almost training in that daily. To try and get a hold of that system. It's a very complicated system. There's a lot to it, and I feel really lucky to have a great teacher and a great coach in Bill Gray. And because of his impact on me, of course, I have him for seminars here at least 3 to 4 times per year to help my students here who are searching for that knowledge as well. And over the course of what I've been doing that kind of covers the past 25 years. But also looking at other things that I've studied. I've spent a long time studying self-defense as well. Not so much the physical aspect, because once you get into the self-defense world, there are lots of physical things that you need to be able to perform and do, of course. That's no question about that. But there's also a lot of non-physical things. So we've really split that into 2 parts. You have hard skills, which is the physical things you're doing in defending yourself, and we also have soft skills. So soft skills are the non-physical things that you have to do and have to be able to know to be able to defend yourself appropriately and effectively. So looking at things like body language and the psychology of your attacker, and how to use awareness and how to create space, how to control space, all those kinds of things I've been really interested in for the last 15 years as well as an instructor. Because a lot of people who come into my school here are interested in learning how to defend themselves, and as an instructor, my responsibility is to make sure I know that information inside and out. So I've spent a lot of time interviewing different martial artists from around the world, and in particular self-defense experts, and I've read a ton of books on that type of information to give my students access to the very best material on the self-defense aspect of martial arts. So that kind of brings us up to date at this point in history, at any rate. So my biggest influences have been Zendo Kai, Muay Thai, boxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and the Filipino martial arts. And I still teach all of those things to this day, and I believe that we're evolving those systems so that they're becoming more and more sophisticated as the years go by. And we'll talk in more detail next time about how the school evolved, and also about my teaching methodology. So I look forward to talking to you in that video. Thank you.